Hello, everybody, and welcome to the SuperConnect Showcase for AI. I'm Costa Mavroulakis, the founder and CEO of Impact Ventures, who have co-designed this event with our fantastic partners, the OVH Cloud Startup Program, supported by our media partner, TB Tech. For a bit of background, Impact Ventures essentially co-designed some of the leading tech initiatives in the UK, Ireland, and Europe. We do that with a number of organizations from OVH Cloud, Hays, and others, through to public sector organizations like universities, councils, and labs. The SuperConnect series has been going for over 3 years, and prior to the pandemic, we ran over 17 events in 9 cities around England. And in the past year, we've been running events virtually. Hopin is the system that we're using today to support you. There are a number of key things that you need to be aware of. The stage is where we are right now, is where some of the roundtable sessions will take place, and also our startup and scale-up showcase. We also have the sessions area, which will play host to 2 other roundtables later on, along with 10 startups and scale-ups that will be pitching to investors later. There will also be a startup clinic at 12:30 p.m., which I will be chairing, where any attendee can go on video and share their business challenges with 5 experts that are ready to help. You'll also notice the expo area, where there is a number of booths available for you to visit. These include support booths. These include other earlier stage startups. And if you'd like to go on video with anybody, please go there at 1:30 to see if anybody's available. You can also select the SuperConnect Me button next to the expo booth, and this will create an introduction facilitated by one of the Impact Ventures team after the event. If you need any support, please go to the green room area, where my colleague Luke will be available to assist you, and just use the direct message facility or feel free to go on video with him. You'll also see a networking area on the left-hand side of your screen, which will appear at the moment, or it will appear later on. Here you can go and meet other attendees for 3 minutes. You can exchange details, extend that session if you want to speak longer, and do note those sessions are randomly matched by the platform. Finally, the replay section will appear at some point in the event, and that will show you the sessions that have been held since they're being recorded. So you can go there if you miss something. I should also note that the sessions are being recorded so that they can be edited and made available on our social media channels on Twitter, on LinkedIn, and our website at superconnectseries.com. I should say after this event, we'll be running another event on FinTech on the 4th of May, which you're all invited to join, or on the 22nd of June, which is on all verticals. We're now going to bring on Philip Moraes, Global Startup Program Leader of the OVH Cloud Startup Program, who's going to give you an introduction. Hi, Philip. Thanks for joining us.
Morning, Costa. Yes, great to be here. Hi, everybody.
You finally got here.
Yes. No, I know. Well, time's flown, but yeah, exciting to be here. Always exciting to be part of an event like this, of course. And yeah, looking forward to everything that's going to happen. So yeah, I'm just going to share a few words. So as you heard, I'm Philip Moraes, the Global Startup Program Leader for OVH Cloud. And yeah, for those of you that don't know, OVH Cloud is a leading European cloud provider. We have 1.6 million customers served by 33 global water-cooled data centers offering data sovereign cloud solutions. The fact that OVH Cloud provides these data sovereign solutions or true GDPR compliance is really become a big deal for a lot of businesses in Europe, as are both AI and cloud, which are listed as the top 5 technology priorities in the next 5 years for businesses, according to recent research. OVH Cloud offers a competitive public cloud with many managed offerings like databases, Kubernetes, but this platform as a service offering also includes a very flexible AI offering that allows you to ingest big data, clean it up, and then train models using off-the-shelf or custom images for the popular machine learning libraries, and then also deploy those models as well. This is all done on top of very affordable GPUs, but more about this later in the sessions. We'll hear from some of our startup program members and also avid GPU and AI solution users like, for example, Yepic AI. Very briefly, the startup program provides a concierge journey onto our cloud that includes €100,000, up to €100,000 in free cloud credits, as well as free tech and migration support as well. But our vision is much bigger than this. We want to accelerate the growth of our startup program members, and that is why we run events like this with Impact Ventures and Top Business Tech. The audience and the stage throughout this event will have active members of the VC community and industry that are looking for investment opportunities and business opportunities. And we hope that this event creates access to markets and business opportunities for you today. We also have sessions like, as Costa mentioned, the Startup Clinic, which caters for your other needs as well as a startup or scale up, like marketing, governance, and cloud challenges as well. One of the questions that we often get asked as a cloud provider, particularly because of some of the big players in the market, is why should we use your cloud? And this is a very good question. We believe we've got a good answer, which I think is also interesting to both the VC community and the startups in the room. And this topic is the cost of cloud. And this is really only one of the good reasons to work with us, just by the way. Some of the evidence I'm going to provide is based on a very interesting article by a well-known VC called Andreessen Horowitz. And the article is titled The Cost of Cloud, the $1 Trillion Paradox. It basically highlights the incredible value that cloud offers, especially in the early stages of company growth, startup growth, where you need that scalability and flexibility, and how cloud also moves your IT expense from a capital expense to a operating expense instead. However, the article goes on to say that these scaling companies, as they move into their later stages of growth, this cost of cloud can become a significant portion of their cost of revenue, to the point where it's actually starting to affect the valuations of public companies to the order of $100 billion in the top 50 listed software companies. Now, I can't go into much detail in this very short intro, but the good news, as the article alludes, is that there are other alternatives to public cloud offered by providers like OVH Cloud that can be considered in the later stages of company development. What is the message to the audience here today? Well, for the startups, yes, use the flexibility and scalability of our public cloud in the early stages, but work with our engineers to keep the end in mind and start thinking about now how you can move your cloud workloads to more sustainable infrastructure like our bare metal servers in the future. And to the VCs, the message is to get your portfolio companies to start making infrastructure spend a key performance indicator. If it's measured, it's easier to take action when expenses below budget or look unsustainable. OVH Cloud has some of the best price performance ratios in the market, and we're very happy to work with you with your short-term needs as well as your long-term needs, and save you a lot of money as well as boost your valuation in the process. Really big all the best to those pitching today, and I look forward to connecting with all of you during the event.
Thanks so much for that, Philip. And we have another 2 great events lined up. So I'm looking forward to hosting everybody then as well. But yeah, we're going to see you later in the Scale Up Funding Showcase, which you'll be moderating.
Yes, looking forward to hearing those pitches. And no, over to you.
Thank you very much. So we're now going to welcome Paul Whittle, who's the Client Services Director for TB Tech and Bailey Media, our media partner. Hi, Paul. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, Costa. Thanks. Hi, morning, everyone. I hope you're having a really nice day. Quick introduction to myself, as Costa said. I'm the Client Services Director for Bailey Media. We have a specialist technology publication called TB Tech, just tbtech.co if you're interested in having a look at that. So what we do every day is release new technology news articles for what are the kind of trending landscape of technology, and obviously promote the values of companies to support how that change is going to support them and the businesses they operate and support with as well. So media partners here today, so we'll be giving coverage and promoting all the good stuff coming out of today's session. And equally, we have specialist tracks as well as an organisation to dive into specialist subjects like AI, for example. Last month was all about the metaverse and how that really is going to be supporting businesses for the future as well. I'll be attending one of the sessions today about breaking into large organizations and securing pilots with the public sector. A colleague of mine will also be attending the CODIP session on data practices. I'll be around if you want any questions, and I'm looking forward to meeting everyone.
Thanks so much for that, Paul. And we've been working with TB Tech now for a few years, and it's been great to profile startups and scale-ups in the publication, judges from our competitions, and Philip's been in it on a video cast. So it's fantastic. Everybody should really check out tbtech.co. So yeah, thanks very much for Paul, and we'll see you in a bit.
Thank you.
So we are now going to be starting our fundraising roundtable, which I will be chairing, titled "What Investors Look For in AI Startups and Scale-Ups." And we're now going to bring on some of our panelists to join. We're going to be joined by Bo Pan from Light Global Solutions, one of our investment partners. We've got Robin from Rufina Capital. We've got Sylvia from Angel's Den, and we've got Ian Sharp from Future Health. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Do you want to just give a brief introduction to yourselves and what you do, and then we'll go into our questions?
You want to choose the running order?
Bo, do you want to kick us off?
Okay, thank you, Costa. My name is Bo. Okay, I'm the founder of Lighthouse Global Solutions based in London, and we are specialized in bridging the investment opportunity between overseas individuals, such like entrepreneurs, high net worth individuals, even corporates, with the UK local SMEs and startup stage business, etc. In the past, we helped quite a few of a business to raise such investment from them, accumulate somewhere about 17 million pounds so far. And we are still looking for the good opportunity between those people and the business here, and try to bridge and give them the right and an opportunity to access this fund, even the right people with global support, and also the network for the local connections as well. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thanks for that, Bo. And I can totally attest for Bo. We've been working with him for a few years now, and he's just brilliant to get on a call with. We're now going to go over to Robin. Do you want to give an introduction to yourself, Robin?
Yes, certainly, Costa. So good morning, everybody. So I am the founder of Rufina Capital. So we started business about 8.5 years ago now, and we focus on Series A and pre-Series A investment rounds. But we also do quite a lot of. We have an office in London, an office in Amsterdam, so we're sort of pan-European in a way. And so most of our clients are at that sort of stage and raising somewhere between, say, 1 million and 20 million. And we, on an average year, if there is such a thing these days, we see maybe 30, 40, 50 million going into client projects. Our investors' appetites are broadly in the technology space, though not exclusively. We have two sister businesses as well, one of which is interesting to those sorts of growth businesses, which is a venture lending business that we had ready to launch in March 2020, but for obvious reasons, we delayed the launch until now. Fantastic.
Well, thanks for that. And we're going to see your colleague, Simon Hayward, in the Scale Up Showcase later on. And if you're interested in connecting with Rufina, please go to the expo area where you'll find some information. If you select the Super Connect Me button, we'll facilitate an introduction for you via email. So thanks for that, Robin. Sylvia, would you like to give an introduction to yourself?
Yes. So hello, everybody, and thank you so much for joining the event. My name is Sylvia Hernandez. I'm the Entrepreneur Relations Associate at Angels Den. Angels Den is one of UK and Europe's largest angel investment platforms, and we're actually a pioneer of early stage startup funding in the country with over a decade in operation. We focus on selecting startups and then matching them with angel investors. We offer help to find lead investors, and through access to our network, companies can fundraise. So we currently have a network of 18,000 plus angel investors. But in order to fulfill our mission to support startups and help them grow, we have started building strategic partnerships to support them in diverse ways, such as invoice financing and tax credits and etc. So my job at Angels Den as the entrepreneur relations manager is to scout for the startups that we look for, to evaluate them, to support them through their fundraising journey with us, and to develop and execute new strategies to fund the startups and support them, and to also grow our network.
Sorry, I was on mute, Mike. We've been working with Angels Den for a number of years. They followed us around the country for our SuperConnect series events, and they're just like Bo, they're fantastic. They pick up, once we've made an introduction, they pick up, jump on a call, and go from there. So thanks so much for joining us, Sylvia. And last but not least, Ian, and I'm delighted to have Ian here because like me, Ian had COVID in the first wave. I ended up in hospital, and I know that you've had some long-term effects, so it's great to have you here, Ian.
That's great, thanks, Costa. Yeah, it's been a bumpy road actually, but I'm okay now, apart from gaps in memory. So I'm Ian Sharp. I run a company called Future Health Innovations, and I'm a partner of the SuperConnect series and Impact Ventures. And I generally help companies developing new technology from a pre-start or a very early stage point of view. And I help them look for the right types of partners, the right types of grant funding, building the teams, all that sort of stuff before they're really at a point where they will be investable by sort of angel investors or others. So it's all about de-risking and proving the technology and the business and service side. We do a few other things. I have a lot of associates. We do bits of technology development where we can bring high-level skills in, and we do lots of evaluation to prove the impact of the product or service that's being developed.
Thanks for that, Ian. And yeah, I can totally agree with all of that. He's supported some of the startups in the SuperConnect series, like Upstream Health, to get 6 figures of grant funding. So he really is very that good. So yeah, thanks for the introductions, everybody. We are now going to go over to our questions. So we've got to 11:15, so quite a bit to get through. So we're going to kick off with funding options. You know, this session's all about AI startups and scale-ups, getting in front of investors and understanding what they want. But really, it's really important that they understand what the funding options are out there and what's right for them. So Richard, if I come to you first, in your opinion, who is equity investment right and wrong for when raising seed to Series A funding? I think your microphone's off.
Do you mean Richard or Robin, Costa?
I'm sorry, I was thinking of another one. We were supposed to have Richard joining us, but Robin, can you answer that question as well?
Yeah, certainly. So, yes, I saw Richard was joining us, so I was wondering where he was. So, in terms of who is equity investment right for, when you're and wrong for when you're raising a Series A, I think, you know, essentially at Series A, you are at the stage where you've got a product that is starting to scale, is the way we look at it. So if you can obviously do it with it depends on the kind of business you have and the kind of rate of scale and the nature of your commercial contract with the market. But if you can do it with some form of lending, then obviously it's much less dilutive. I have to say, I think that's you lose some opportunities there. The advantage of having the right institutional investor on board is that they will provide for you not only the capital, but hopefully some smarts, and also help you become a proper business with good governance and good structure and process. And it helps the management team think about how they're going to grow the business and build to an exit, because that's essentially what the fund wants. So it does depend, I think the true answer, it does depend on the nature of your commercial stage with whatever it is you sell, and the nature of what you sell, whether you prepared to take the dilution, but there are some benefits to being diluted at that stage.
Some very interesting points there. And I think probably Sylvia can attest to that. I mean, Sylvia, for you, who is Angel's Den right for, really? And how do you really compare what Angel's Den provides with traditional crowdfunding platforms?
Yeah, so I mean, to build a little bit on what Robin said, Angel's Den is right for startups looking for, I would say, high quality investors. So other fundraising platforms like Seedrs and Crowdcube accept funds from really anyone. And in the case of Seedrs, the minimum investment amount is, I think, £10, which is, I mean, it's a valuable model that has made equity investing accessible to the wider audience and to everybody. But really, we specialize in making sure that the angel investors are people who can actually add something to the company. So, for example, our network is comprised of ultra high net worth individuals and high net worth individuals, and our minimum ticket size is £10,000. And this ensures that those investing have deep pockets, or that they can invest again in following rounds, or at the very least that they have the connections to open the right doors. I mean, like, another key differentiator is that we have a dedicated investor relations team who are constantly building relationships with our investors, and so they get to know their preferences. And this special relationship that they build makes the investors more receptive to hearing the pitches and learning about new companies. 90% of the companies we fund there are still in business, and I think that's just goes to show that our investors aren't there just for capital gains, but they are fully invested in making the company succeed. So, I mean, obviously they expect some percentage. So to build on what Robin said, if the companies are not ready to give up some equity percentage, or if they're really not looking to give up some ownership, then Angel's Den is not good for them. But in return for that equity that let's say that they're giving out, they're going to be getting a lot of not only money, but also the right connections and advice, and some valuable members in their board. In terms of stage, as you mentioned, Angel's Den is good for pre-seed to Series A. If a company is just started or in an ideation stage, I think it's too early. We think it's just too early for us, and we recommend it to go to our partners like you, or to accelerators or incubators. And past Series B is too large for us, just because our investors prefer to come in at a stage where they can have a noticeable portion of the company where they can actually make a difference.
Yeah, that makes absolute sense, and this is why I'm happy that we've got such a diverse panel that work at different stages from startup to scale up. Bo, I'm going to come over to you, because you facilitate a lot of international investment deals, which are sometimes different from the traditional angel investment side. I mean, how does it work in practice, and who is it right for, and maybe wrong for even?
Oh, thank you for that. And yeah, we talked about international investment from overseas, so we'll be briefly get into two different directions, either going to be coming from the individuals or coming from corporates. Now, because the unique proposition in the UK, for loads of people, as an individual point of view, would like to put investment here, has to be something related to their own benefits, would be something related to visas. That's the fact. We had loads of options that include something we called T1E, or maybe Tier 1 investors. Unfortunately, the £5-10 million was recently closing down due to the conflicts between Russia and the Ukraine. but we still have a lots of people coming to looking for those opportunity to make investment. In general, the direction for the individual point of view will be, first one is to fulfill their skills towards those business. Okay, most people will work with, they have a quite unique skill set, working experience in different sectors. They usually are leaders or a very senior role with their own business in their countries. So they would like come here to support the business locally, to hopefully to get a more return. Obviously, will be get investment involved. The second one is, let's say from a startup business point of view, the risk potentially will be slightly higher than the other categories. That's the fact. But because they would add their own personal value with their reasonable investment, hopefully in the near future, and they can get a good return of investment. The last one is people may gonna consider use such rules to make contribution towards the UK economy can will be recognized by the Home Office and finally be settled. So this is mainly drive from the individual point of view. Just to add a little bit, it was innovator, tier 1E was investor, was 10 million. Those people usually will put the money in the business and to diversify their investment, and then we could access those funds to allocate it to different business, mixed with, let's say, scale up business in startup or maybe different sectors. That's money really coming from. The typical investment amount is somewhere about between maybe 150 to 300,000 pound, depends on the deal, and also how deep the pocket from the individual's point of view. A good thing is they are not really too much fussy about detailed due diligence, etc., and they usually spot the categories and the sector they know quite well, and based on their own experience, usually on this route, and the investee can get a very good deal, especially do not really given too much shareholdings, etc. But very much case by case basis.
That's some really great insights on the investment side of the coin. For us as Impact Ventures, we always promote a blended approach to finance, and startups and scale-ups really looking at investment, grants, even debt to see what's right for them. Ian, I know you are the grant expert and guru. Who do you think grants are right and wrong for?
Well, so it's really good to hear the perspectives of Sylvia, Robin, and Bo, because actually they've nicely led into what happens right at that front end to get to the stages that where their investors or their funds can add benefit to a business. I think it was Robin made a really interesting point that most businesses have a lot of growing up to do, not just in building a product or a service or building a team or getting a first customer, but actually in business process, in outlook, so there's all sorts of aspects that are challenges for people. And I think using grants as a way to facilitate some of that business growth is a really useful way, because there's no company will be successful in getting a grant unless they fulfill all the criteria that you would have to fill to get investment in the first place. So if you've not got a strong team, if you don't know where your technology is coming from, if you can't prove your market, or you've got a partner in your consortium that's going to give you some sort of market access, if you can't show that there's market to scale, then you can't get a grant. Just like you can't get angel investment or Series A investment. It's a lot smaller scale though, and grants are there to make you think about those problems, chunk them down into what is it that we actually need to prove and to show to develop our business. What can we actually sell? Are our hypotheses that we've built as product ideas or business ideas, are they valid? And then can we put that across in a way that fits one of the grant funding calls? Because the other thing about grants is, just like any other stage of investment, it's hugely competitive. So you're gonna spend a lot of time focusing on getting the pitch right, the development right, the stages right, the partners right, to stand a chance of being successful. So it really is companies with early stage ideas. They may be established businesses and still going through the innovation journey and spotting opportunities or deeper opportunities in their own business. Or, as I said at the outset, those pre-trading businesses where they've got an idea, they might have a few supporters, collaborators, etc., and they think they're ready to start applying for funds to build that proof.
I think you've made some really good points there. I think also sometimes startups and scale-ups come to us to connect them with universities that they can do joint bids with. We'll introduce them to you and so on. Sometimes that helps the case.
It can. In fact, that's a really good point, because depending on the type of business, really depends on the partners that you need to build your consortium with. And if you need that research base, if your stuff is based in academic research, then you probably need those academic partners, not just to access some of the funding that you wouldn't otherwise get as a commercial organisation, but to sit alongside you and make sure that the research rigor is there while you're building out your products and service.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's head over to the main question for today. What exactly do funding providers look for in AI startups and scale-ups? So I'm going to go over to Sylvia first. When you get pitch decks shared with you, what are the key factors that make you want to follow up? Is it traction, revenue? What is it for you? You're on mute.
Yeah, so usually at Angels, one of the most important things for us is traction, but we understand that with AI startups, especially, sometimes just because they're changing the entire way that a process works, it can take some time for them to get some revenue or get some customers or even some partnership agreements. So we tend to be a little bit more lenient about traction, but we do require that at least they show that they got it somewhere with that. So either they have some proof of concept, they had somebody who's vouching for it to say like, yes, this is totally gonna change the way things are done, or that they have gotten at least some partners in place or some of the product or services very close to launching, so that it won't take them a very long time for them to reach the market. In terms of the technology itself, AI needs a very large amount of data in order to be successful. So we really look at the market that they're in, and we ask if it is a big enough market. Because if it's a very niche market, maybe it will be a good business and maybe it will be profitable, but it won't be able to access as much data as it needs, or say change an entire system or process that it's in place in the world to be that super high growth company that our investors are usually looking for. AIs cannot be typically patented just because due to the nature of software, it's not something that sometimes can be protected in that way. So we look at how much research has been put into it, something that shows us that this cannot be easily replicable. So if the founders have been doing research on this technology for a very long time, then that just really shows that this company is going to be very unique and different from any other competitors. We look at what processes they're replacing and how it's going to positively affect the lives of people, what kind of services they're going to change. Are there going to be any humans that are going to be replaced by this AI? What's going to be the negative impacts, the positive impacts? And we also look at how they will acquire the data, how they will grow it, what future applications there will be for the technology, and how much will the capacities of this technology change once they start getting more and more data. So I guess those are the key factors that we look at.
Mm-hmm. That's very interesting. Robin, for you, what do you look for in AI startups and scale-ups? And are there certain company structures that put you off?
Well, the second question first. Not particularly, unless there's a complicated company structure. I think one of the things we look for where there's an IP-rich business is that the IP is properly held. So whether it's AI or it's material science or whatever, you either should hold it in the main company you're asking for investment in, or it should be ring-fenced in a subsidiary on SPV that is licensing its IP in perpetuity to the investment vehicle, and not make it any more complicated than that. We see some very strange things sometimes, and so it means that when you're asking for investment, the investor doesn't really know whether the IP is truly available exclusively to the business they're investing in. You've got to avoid those sorts of slightly weird offshore things that people do sometimes. In terms of what we look for around the AI space, as we do with other forms of technology, I have to say there's been a lot of talk about AI. It's one of the current bandwagons. There's one every year. And I would say there's a lot more A than I in most things that we see. And I would say the second point is that the big data side of it is just one aspect, certainly, but that doesn't really require lots of intelligence. It requires lots more processing, so it depends what the business does. But it's, I think, also critical about how you actually apply that artificial intelligence to actually make the business fly in a way that it wouldn't do without that piece of technology. And that isn't just around the tech, that is around your market access, pricing strategy, management team, network connections, and frankly, your kind of backing. Because if you have the right sort of backing, probably more equity than lending, they will also be very, I hope, very focused in exploiting those sorts of technologies and very familiar with your sort of realm. So, finding the right suitor at the right stage is critical. The point I was going to make earlier, actually, on the earlier point, we did some analysis of our client base being 170 companies, something like that, over the last 8.5 years. And as you know, the death rate amongst early stage and growth stage businesses is pretty high. But actually, out of those 170, about 160 are still with us, and some doing very well. I've had quite a few exits as well. And I think that's testament to the fact that those businesses have gone through a process to raise external capital, which is a very good discipline, in some cases 3 or 4 times. And with that capital, particularly equity rather than debt, comes a great deal of expertise and connections around the table, which is fantastic for the business and the management team, or can be, should be. But also when things go wrong, which they will, if you're looking, 5 years into the future, and some of it may not be your fault. It may be, what's going on in Europe at the moment, or what was going on 2 years ago. Several clients got into trouble because of COVID affecting their markets, but with, the skills around the table, including their investors, were able to work through that.
Thank you so much, Robin. That's a great testament to yourself. We've got 4 minutes left, so I'm going to ask Ian. In your opinion, Ian, what are the common mistakes that you see with grant funding applications that put you off reading further?
That's a really good question. Overstating the market is a critical one. I think that happens pretty much at every stage, and both Sylvia and Robin have alluded to that. The early stage companies generally think that they can do everything, and really underestimate how hard it is to both develop a product or service and access the market. And so if companies are really overstating what they think they can do, it makes it unrealistic to assessors and really reduces their likelihood of being funded. And I think actually that's part of the rigor, a little bit like Robin was just saying about raising stages of funding. It is good practice to do it because it really sharpens your thinking, it sharpens your story, and it improves your chances of success. And that starts right from day one, I think.
Thanks for that, Ian. And Bo, any final points to help us close up?
Yeah, thank you for that. This sector is especially complicated from the others because it is not just you build like a SaaS platform, and you made it once and they sell it for many times, and it actually is ongoing to improve the kind of a technology learning, etc. But from our selection of initial startup business point of view, we probably is going to look into the products and its application mainly, and see how the market can initially absorb such innovations. And this first one. The second one, we look at the roadmap of the business, and obviously it's quite difficult for any people start to create idea from last night and then start to raise funding. It's not going to work, and we're going to see what kind of personal contribution they made, especially money and any good team members work together, have a unique skill set, etc. Then again, to look at the financials, etc., whether it is realistic, and we do not really expect very high margin because it's not really reflecting the sector itself. But based on that, and obviously the next one is the very niche and tightened pitch to the investor will be quite important. Usually we just 3 minutes cover everything and focus on the solutions, problem, etc. And that usually help. But in a scale up,
I'm going to have to cut you off. I'm going to have to cut you off there, Bo, because we're going to have to go on to our next session.
That's fine.
But I'd just like to thank everybody for this very short and sharp, to the point session. We really appreciate it. And if anybody wants to connect with any of our panelists, please email gemma@empact-ventures.com or hello@empact-ventures.com, or just go to the Empact Expo booth and say, I want to connect with this person, and it will be facilitated for you. Angels Den have got a booth, as do Rufina. So you can just click the Super Connect Me button and we'll facilitate that introduction. But thanks for everyone. And we're going to go on to our next roundtable now. So hopefully you'll join us on the main stage on hopping to see some of the pictures as well. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. Cheers.
Thank you. Bye. So and there'll be opportunities to see other investors like Mercia, Pretora Ventures, SFC Capital in the showcases later on. But we're now going to bring on our panelists for the data management roundtable that is hosted by OVH Cloud. So can we bring it on our panelists? Hi everyone, thanks for joining us. I believe that Yit from FIDSI will be joining us shortly. But today's session is chaired by Kordip Sanga, the Northern Europe Marketing Manager of OVH Cloud. So I'm going to hand over to you, Kordip, and hopefully you joins us shortly. Hi, Yit.
Thank you. Thank you, Costa. And I see Yit has joined as well, so it's got to be a full complement. Right. So hello, welcome to this roundtable. Now we're going to be looking at data, where to store and how to manage it in the cloud. The context obviously is how to extract its value for AI. Now we know most business leaders are wrestling with digital transformation, and many are looking at AI as the next natural step in their journey. And recent research indicates a whopping 74% of companies are exploring or deploying AI. And so this is probably no different from whether you are a startup or a scale-up. Now, deploying AI means having enough clean, reliable data, as well as access to affordable GPUs and machine learning. So to help you with this, new tools almost spring up daily. So you need to collaborate well, make sense of what's useful. And many people, to be honest, don't have a clue on what they should be doing with it. Figuring out why and how to assess the benefits can be daunting. So that's what this session is all about. We have 4 subject matter experts, people who have implemented AI projects, or to offer insights and tips to help you get off to a flying start. Now, we have a hard stop at 10:45. So welcome, panelists. You each have different backgrounds and experiences of technology, so please do a short intro and include what is the most interesting use of AI you have come across and why this stands out for you. So Yit, starting off with you.
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Whittle, and I'm the founder of Fitzy. My background is mostly enterprise software architecture and development. Worked on digital transformation projects, cross-platform solutions, data analytics, targeted optimization, all spread around 2 decades now. At Fitzy, we help individuals and businesses get answers to their questions by providing jargon-free insights instantly across all their smart devices. Fitzy is an AI-powered voice UI technology enabler that hooks into any form of data and provides instant conversational insights by using natural language and voice. Our interesting application is, it's the core of Fitzy, I would say. We effectively replace legacy dashboards and complicated reporting solutions with simple modern voice-driven interfaces. And AI and natural language processing sits in the heart of this. AI and NLP allows us to understand customers' intent, what they are asking, what are they after really in terms of their end goal. It automates the data collection for us and provide instant conversational response to complex queries, including voice interfaces such as Google Assistant and Alexa as well. So yeah, that's me.
Cool. Thank you, Luke.
Hi there. Yeah, sorry for being a little bit late there. I just got caught out. So yeah,
You
hi
like to
guys.
keep us on our toes, I'm guessing.
Well, the thing is that all of a sudden I had the light pouring in and my face just went poof. So I was trying to sort that out, and then I just caught off the time a little bit. But hi guys, yeah, I'm Luke. I'm digital editor at TB Tech, and we're a B2B publication. Our aim is to obviously place a spotlight on technology and innovation across all industries, and tell stories about how the world is changing and about the people delivering that change, basically. We deliver content through different formats to give our readers what they want, and that's using powered AI, or powered by AI, I should say. And we're constantly looking for new ways to provide better experiences for our readers via AI, for our magazine, our podcasts, our webinars. So like mentioned, an AI application we're currently using is through a search tool called Algolia, which basically pulls in things such as content consumption and our website data in order to provide relevant articles for our readers, basically.
Cool. Over to you, Julian.
Hi, everybody. I'm Julian Bailey. I'm Partner Solution Architect at Ivan. We are a database solution as a service tech unicorn based in Finland. Our mission is to make data infrastructure very simple for you all. For that, we provide managed open source databases and messaging services for all the needs on all the major clouds around the world. Our main products are very well known. They are Kafka, Cassandra, PostgreSQL, Redis, M3DB, ClickHouse, and many others like OpenSearch, etc. And so that's our core business. It's open source databases. A month ago, we signed a partnership with OVH Cloud. So before it, if you needed a database cluster on OVH Cloud, you would have to do it by yourself. And now, because of this partnership between Ivan and OVH Cloud, you can have like any open source database as a service as simple as any other service on OVH Cloud. So now I think that's a real game changer, our partnerships, because all mission critical AI and data projects are now feasible on OVH Cloud without any difficulty. And yes, at Ivan, we use AI, and we have a team of 5 data analysts, scientists, and engineers, and they use machine learning techniques to identify and assess where our energy should be put in order to sustain our growth.
Okay, so that's a who's who of databases, I must admit. And I'm really looking forward to working with Ivan with this partnership. It really is groundbreaking. So last but not least, Horatio.
Hi everybody. I am Horacio González. I am the head of developer relations at OVH Cloud. OVH Cloud is an European leader of the cloud and hosting. We are present all around the world, and we have a complete catalog of products from traditional web hosting to bare metal and to all kinds of services in the cloud, infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and of course, and that's why I am here, several artificial intelligence products. And about artificial intelligence, well, I got interested when I began to work at OVH Cloud, and I worked along some teams doing some interesting and strategic internal projects using machine learning and artificial intelligence. And later, using what they have learned with these projects, they have built our artificial intelligence services, AI training and AI notebook. And I have worked along in order to test and to create documentation and tutorials for these products.
Brilliant. Well, we're really looking forward to insight from all of that learning. So let's start off then with, look, we need to understand initially, how do you even figure out whether we need an AI project or not? So put it another way, how can our listeners assess whether they are ready for AI? You want to start with that topic first?
Sure. I would say AI will not solve everyone's problem. So you need to know if you really need AI or not. It's not a one-size-fits-all package that you can simply include in your project. You need to start with your data. We look at it personally and what you can see and what can be extracted from it. And then that insights, that information, or that response you are after based on your raw data, can it be automated? Do you have enough repeatable and predictable input? And can you basically come up with a way to provide an expected outcome every time? And it's all about creating a model that takes that input, understands it, teaching it to the system for your expected outcome. So if this could be automated reliably, could it be simplified in a way that it can work on its own and learn as you go? So once again, AI is not really for all projects, not for everyone. You shouldn't really be pushing to use AI just for being able to say that you're using AI, basically. It might get in the way a lot of times. It could actually make things worse or harder for you down the line. Just make sure you actually need it. It's an automation tool at the end of the day to make things easier for you. Just see if you really need it or not based on your data and based on your expected outcome.
Okay. Right. Julian, what have you got to add to that?
Yeah, I would have view another perspective. I would say an easygoing with AI. I think you can automate anything a group of experts in your company can do or a partner can do. It's with the right data. If a human can do it, then I think we can teach to the AI to do it. So I would see AI like an automation tool also. So, but I think we all have projects that could benefit from AI. I think we can all use AI. And my point would be in your company, first you have to ask yourself, do I have tasks or insights that are very business critical and that consume a great deal of your coworkers' energy? Or perhaps you do not have the time to do it. And I think first you have to create a list of such tasks. And then you evaluate the business value of each of these tasks. And then perhaps the point is not trying to do it by yourself. It could be assess with experienced partners, for example, or external people, or if you have your own team with your own team, and assess the complexity and the feasibility of this. And I think we have to remember that AI could be done with outside partners or technological partners. For example, GPT-3 model, it's online, it's available for everybody, and there is a lot of AI API available on the market. And I think we can do AI in our startups, not doing internally AI, but using AI that's already available. So I'm sure looking at AI project like this, we have a lot of green lights. I think a lot of projects we can do already in our companies.
Okay, right, Luke.
Oh, sorry, there we go. So yeah, just expanding on really from Igor and Julian, I feel like they're both touching on the right thing there, where AI is more about that automation process of being able to take away some of those laborious processes that aren't massively critical to a business but still have to be done. So for an example, from our perspective, social media, like, it's something that isn't massively critical. We need to delegate resources elsewhere. So we looked at implementing AI and automation together to create something that works for us as a business solution to be able to focus in those critical areas. But it's all about really understanding, like Igor said, is understanding what processes that you have that you can basically use AI for, and then taking those baby steps to try and test if it's going to work for you or not. You don't really want to go full into it just to have loads of errors or for things to go wrong that end up damaging the business more than doing good. So really understanding what processes you would like AI to solve for you, and then taking those little baby steps into it. So don't just dive straight into it. Don't just, get stuck straight in, but try and work out what it is you want that AI to achieve for you, and then see what's out there on the market and really just test. Be fearless, I would say. Don't be scared of it. Be agile. Don't spend too much time planning, because not everyone knows a lot about AI yet. It's still something that a lot of businesses are trying to get their head around. So try and work out what's out there and what it can do, and then try and see how that can fit into your business model.
Cool. Okay. So, look, I mean, it's certainly coming across that it's a complex area. So let's start with some tips to get the foundations right, set up AI projects so that they are going to succeed. Horatio, do you want to start that part off?
Yeah, well, some tips. First one, you shouldn't be trying to do artificial intelligence. You should try to do something with artificial intelligence. You should try to have a business objective behind. If not, the project, it isn't likely to succeed. Second, you need to know your data. You have a lot of data and lot of raw data, but you need to know it. That means you need to have somebody, some expert in the domain you are working, some expert in order to see if the data is complete, if it is accurate, how you can quantify it, and all that. Third tip, please don't try to reinvent the wheel. There are many libraries, APIs, and tools to work with artificial intelligence. You have your data, but try to use as much as possible tooling already existent, open source tooling, APIs, and all that. And last one, very important, have the right team. You need to have domain experts in order to understand your data, to make sense of your data. You need to have some machine learning or data scientist people in order to be able to know how to manipulate your data, how to apply the models, what algorithms to use. And you need to have some data engineers to extract the data, to prepare the environment, to prepare the tooling, and all that. That's for me the four main tips I wanted to share
Wow.
today.
Okay, a lot there. Luke, what have you got to add to that?
Yeah, so from a user perspective of using AI, you need to make sure that the data is accurate. I don't think you would ever really get stuck into using AI with legacy data. Like I said previously, you don't want it to cause harm to your business, and part of that process is making sure that the data is accurate, because that is what AI is feeding off of. It doesn't matter what type of AI you use, it's going to be feeding off of data. So giving it the correct data and the most accurate form of data is really going to help you to work out if it's going to work for you, and then work out how it's going to work for you in the most effective way. So from my perspective, and from when we obviously adopted AI tools, making sure that that data accuracy is spot on is absolutely key to making sure that it's going to work for your business.
Cool. Okay, Julian?
Yeah, a lot have been said, and I think I would add one tip is many people start, if you want to do IR internally, many people start like on their own computers. And I think that's not the right thing to do. I think you must start using the cloud from the beginning, because when you train models, it could takes a lot of time, and you have to go as fast as you can. So you have to get a system which scale well and can give you the result as fast as possible. And moreover, if you train many models in parallel because you have a team or something like that, you don't want people wait for the resource to be available. So using the cloud, you can train many models simultaneously without any problem. So that would be my first tip. And my second tip would be to use cloud agnostic managed open source services that scales with good tooling for your team, because you want to scale up and down the access to your data without any impact on the service availability. Because when you are running some training and you want to scale up, you do not want that the actual active learnings stop because you are scaling up. And I think you have to take care of this, because there is a lot of data services online, but they do not scale with service availability, and then your training stops. That's not good. So I would say open source database services that scale with service availability. Okay.
Brilliant. Okay, great tips there. Yet.
Well, I see every project similar to building something out of Lego. And if you think about building a Lego car, for example, using AI would be, let's say, putting some wheels on it, right? But there are so many wheels out there, so many AI tooling out there. And you need to test if it will actually fit for your particular need, if it's fit for purpose. And you have to try most of them, if not all of them. And when trying, there are certain parameters, like in everything in software development. Is there a good community behind it? Is there support? If you are stuck, if something doesn't work, would you be able to get some help, basically? Or is it the right tool for the right outcome? So you need to evaluate all these things and put that wheel on, test it, see if it works. If it doesn't, if it's too big, too small, too wide or too narrow, you need to adjust it and configure it. And then when you're done with small iterations and prototyping, you have to find the right tool. Even if it's a really strong community behind it, really good support and everything, it might still not be 100%. So you will have to develop your own workarounds and additional software around it to make it a whole for your particular piece, with some small, tiny little Lego attachments to it. So it's important to try out, test it in small increments, and find the right tooling for you. We have spent about maybe 2 years so far building Fitzy, and the number of iterations we have done is just unbelievable. I mean, we tried pretty much everything out there, and still finding things that are not supported by any of the technology out there. It's still new. The community is still very much behind compared to other solutions out there, and you have to do a lot of things yourself still, unfortunately. But it's what's the percentage of completion you can get out of an existing tool, existing software, existing AI module package, and then what you need to do on top yourself. Instead of trying to do everything yourself, again, try to use what's out there, but be mindful that you might need to do additional work on top of that. So small iterations and testing is key.
Excellent tips. Okay. So now all of you have talked about this. There are so many different types of data, whether it's numbers, videos, images, voice, music, you name it. So can you give the audience some guidance on how best to prepare that data? Let's start with you, Julian.
Yeah, I will add something about the domain experts. I think they are very important in our project. Yes, we need engineers, we need people that can do machine learning, but I think domain expert is the key, because if you have an infinite amount of data, you can like brute force everything with AI. But in reality, you never have infinite amount of data. So you need to create what we call data features. And data features allows us to get better result with less data. So I think that's a key to the data preparation stage. It's extracting data feature. It means giving some clues to the algorithm, giving some experience to the algorithm. And that's, for me, one key point is the availability of real domain experts that can create real good data features. And you have to test these features. And with machine learning, you can check if the algorithm use them or not. If it doesn't use it, try something else, that other data features. But cleaning up the data is not sufficient. You have to add some data. It means engineering data features. That would be my main tip for data preparation.
Brilliant. Good tip. Okay, Luke.
Yeah, so Julian, bang on. I feel like with your point there, we've got a developer in house who I work closely with as part of like a growth hacking team, and one of the things he does is, like you said, create these little information points that give the AI hints. So we worked out exactly what it is, how we wanted this AI to use, and where within our data set we needed to get that information. So we started building these little hints into it in order to feed through to like our search tools and our social media AI that we currently use. But if I was to say, based on our experience of working together on like trying to piece it up, I would say data accuracy and the cleanliness of that data. When we first started, we just went in with a little bit of old legacy data, and honestly, the results were a bit skewy. So from my mistake personally, I would say make sure your data's clean and know what you want to feed into those AI platforms, AI tools from a user perspective. Know your data set, find out what it is you want to achieve, and then how your data can feed into that and give those hints, or work with a developer or someone who knows AI machine learning to feed that in properly. I think that's very important.
Cool. Okay, Yit.
In order to make any automation work, any AI work with your data, you have to be able to understand it yourself first. You have to be able to make it work manually as an analyst, analyze your data and get the outcome to see if you can actually get that outcome. And then you'll be able to teach AI to do it for you instead of you. And in order to do that, obviously, it starts with you understanding the data. So data is normalization and cleanliness, and you need to tidy it up yourself first to see if it's fit for purpose. Again, if it's not, if it's all over the place, if it's really raw in a sense that it's just you can't make ends of it, it just won't work. So normalize it, clean it up, make sure everything is ready to go, and you can make it work. Then actually get on with automating it, I would say.
Marvelous.
Preparation is key.
Okay. And Horatio?
Well, I think the other panelists have already said it. For me, the most important is knowing your data, knowing if it is complete, if it's accurate, if it is, if you have all the data you need, and prepare it, normalizing, cleaning it in order to be able to work on it. So nothing else to add here.
Perfect. Okay. So now we're coming to the end of our time. Can you just give us one nugget of gold that'll really help our listeners succeed in this area? So, Yit, you want to start off?
AI is still work in progress, and it's been developed continuously. You need to make sure you're using the right tool with good support and help, and make sure you can continue if you get stuck somehow. You find ways around it. So test all the tooling out there, make sure it is fit for purpose, and you always have a backup plan. Basically, popular tooling is best because there's community behind it. But again, make sure you have a backup plan always. It's not a single, one size fits all solution. So you need to combine a few things to make it work for your particular need.
Cool. Okay, Julian?
Yeah, I would say that the more you do machine learning, the more data intensive and computation intensive your workloads will be. So I think the business value for your company will rise, so as the running costs. So I would say you have to be cloud agnostic, or you have to have a multi-cloud strategy to have the best card in hands to negotiate the prices. If you can't move, you can't negotiate your prices. So beyond staying cost efficient, which is one thing, I think you have to be ready to move also because the legal and regulatory compliance requirements evolve over the time. So for me, stay cloud agnostic, use multi-cloud in order to risk mitigation, do the right risk mitigation approach.
Cool. Okay. So, Luke, a quick one from you, please.
Yeah, sure. So I personally think from an implementation point of view, rather than from a development point of view, just to stay agile and stay fearless and keep testing, create these little playgrounds and really try out what's available in terms of the AI solutions and platforms out there. Obviously, keep everything on the cloud. I think if anything goes wrong, it's always nice to have that support and that backup from someone that knows what they're doing. But if I was to give advice, I would just say, just be agile with it. I think there's no playbook around AI at the moment, and a lot of it is about automation and how that works together. So try and work out how you can piece these little AI snippets into your business without thinking you have to go for a full AI approach, and then take those baby steps in and get your head around it. I think a lot of businesses are still trying to get their head around it, and it's still a buzz term that's out there in the industry because it's exciting. I would say just take it slow, not take it slow, but take baby steps, be agile, and be fearless in your approach around AI. Keep testing.
Okay, right. Well, thank you very much, everyone. Great insights. Yit, Julian, Luke, Horatio, great content, some fantastic practical tips. Hope they helped everyone get their head around this area. So hope you, the listeners, found this useful, and I'll hope to see you on the main stage.
Thanks, everybody. So thanks, everybody, for that. If you want to connect with TB Tech, go to their Expo booth. FIDSI will be pitching very shortly and has an Expo booth, and OVH Cloud have one. And if you want to speak with an OVH Cloud expert, join me in the Startup Clinic at 12:30. So we're now going to head into our showcase, our Startup and Scale-Up Showcase. And we're going to bring on Abby from CityBeats, which is a scale-up in Barcelona, which was our regional winner for our SuperConnect for Good competition for Southern Europe and Industry Challenge winner. So can we bring...
Hello, everyone. My name is Abby. I'm CDO at CityBeat. CityBeat is an AI company dedicated to social understanding. You probably have heard of social listening. Well, we do something a little bit different, but we'll talk about it later. I just want to thank you all for having me here today. And I would like to kick off by showing you some figures that I'm sure you'll find really interesting. So during my pitch in the next 5 minutes, which I hope I will make it in time, there would be 2.25 million of opinion on Twitter, 1.5 million thoughts on Facebook, and 200,000 feeling on Instagram that will be shared. We live in a world of information, or, if I can say, over-information, and people just want to be heard. We're experiencing an explosion of data. It was found that 90% of the world data was generated in the last 2 years, 80% of this information is unstructured. So if you're a decision maker nowadays, you really need to take a data-driven decision, and this is almost an impossible task given the complex context. So these slides show a fact, not an opinion. And by it means that there is a conversation that's going on out there, but we are not listening to it. We live in an infodemic context, and we are exposed to a lot of information that our brains simply cannot process, understand. A lot of big data doesn't necessarily mean good data. Sometimes overload of information brings the opposite results. And that leads to two really bad consequences. One is citizens are not being heard, and the second is, and that means that we lose trust. And the second is that decision maker, they make an uninformed decision because they don't have real-time data about what citizens feel. So let's face it, as a society, we lost faith. We lost faith in institutions, we lost faith in people, and that is sad. But I'm not just here to deliver bad news. I do have some good news. And the good news is that we have technology for it, and we have CityBits. In CityBits, our technology is designed to unlock citizen voices. And the combination of NLP and machine learning allow us to interpret social big data to help decision maker to react faster and more efficiently. At CityBits, we are doing our own part by building a bridge between citizen and institution and organization. In the last 4 years, we've been collecting, analyzing, and interpreting 1 billion of data points around topics like education, energy, environment, migration, gender equality, and so on. So we've been working with governments, multilateral organizations, and also private companies like NTT Data, Telefonica, UNDP, UNESCO, IDB, WHO. As an example, our EARS observatory that is powered by CityBits was the most used tool during the pandemic to monitor the infodemic around COVID-19 vaccine. So we really want to make a greater impact in the world. And how are we going to do that? By enabling more decision makers to have access to citizen voices. In the end, we recently launched our subscription model. So any expert in health, social risk, or sustainability can become data analyst, having better and faster understanding of citizen needs and opinion. You pay a monthly subscription and you get connected to 1 billion data points and 1 million data sources. That is a really small price to pay to get access to what citizens really need. So CityBits was founded in 2018, and in just 4 years, we have achieved some important milestone. We raised a pre-seed round of 1.5 million in 2019, and last year we raised a seed round of 3 million, and we are looking at raising our round A on the back end of this year. As a company, we value and promote diversity, gender equality, and inclusion. And I can say that we have the most amazing 32 people from 12 different countries. They are all driven by the same mission. And our ambition is to bring humanity back into decision-making through the use of ethical AI. And if you want to know more about how we impact society positively in 2021, we recently published our impact report that you can find in our website. And if you'd like to reach me out and talk about AI ethics, or you have questions about CityBits, or you want to make a more informal decision and get access to our platform, then reach out to me on LinkedIn, email, or any other way. Thank you very much.
Hello, Good morning. This is Saran Muthaya. I'm the founder and CEO of Enrich My Care. I'm also a specialist pediatric physiotherapist with over 20 years of experience in managing children with disabilities. What is Enrich My Care? Enrich My Care is a one-stop personal health and remote monitoring platform that helps manage the complex healthcare pathways of children and young people with disabilities. So why do they need a platform? Let's take Katie. Katie is a 7-year-old child with cerebral palsy and autism. Katie's life is so different from her peers in her school. At any given time, she has multiple appointments. She sees multiple professionals, anywhere between 15 and 20 across different hospitals, community clinics, and in their own schools. Her parents are expected to carry out 5 different therapy plans, including various medication plans. And also, they feel they have to constantly fight with the system in terms of making sure that she gets the right support at the right time. So she has 3 questions. Why should my parents keep chasing and justifying the need for my support? And why can't my care be much more coordinated? And why should I wait for months to get the support that I deserve? Over the course of last couple of years, based on our extensive market research, all these problems have been validated with strong signals of 9 out of 10 families experience the problems and challenges because of disjointed care provision. On the other side of the equation, professionals like me are also finding it extremely challenging because of the complexities involved in care pathways with multiple sectors, right from acute sector hospitals to community sector and primary care. We constantly end up chasing for the information that we need, and we're not able to monitor the child's care throughout our intervention. This has a massive impact on the outcomes. And also, we spend a lot of our time in repetitive administrative tasks that takes time away from treating children. Also, the commissioners or the payers who commission for these services have difficulties in evaluating the quality of intervention across all these services. And also, ensuring that the care experience is good. They are finding it extremely difficult to gather this data and information. What does Enrich My Care do? Enrich My Care can help with reducing delays and the disjointed healthcare provision across the entire system. It helps to save time for the professionals. And also it helps with achieving better outcomes, which is so important for minimizing the disabilities by approaching in a preventative healthcare way, identifying risks, and also enable the efficient management of exercises, medication, and therapy on a daily basis, which is so important for families. All of these helps empower the families to give them more visibility and the much needed control over their care. So the personalized healthcare approach and the preventative healthcare is so crucial for delivering, and that's why Enrich My Care focuses on delivering these value propositions. We are talking about a population of nearly 1.4 million children in the UK who have some form of disabilities. Out of that, 350,000 have got very complex challenges. And just the cost of caring alone ranges between £650,000 to 2.5 million over the course of their lifetime. Again, there's a huge sum of cost involved, both for the system as well as for the society. Now, if we look beyond UK, the numbers are 93 million children under the age of 16 who have disabilities. The problems and the challenges are similar across all the geographies. In terms of the competition, there are few other companies that does help with integrating electronic health records, bringing reports together, but not necessarily address the complexities of the problem for these children. So Enrich My Care helps to bring about that bespoke solution that helps manage on a daily basis the entire complexity that's involved, which is so crucial in terms of generating the outcomes that we need. Why us? We have a strong team with a rich experience of a combined experience of over 100 years with complementary skills in terms of technology, clinical, and the sales side of things. And that's so important from a digital health or a health tech point of view. A brief about my background. I have over 20 years of experience in this field, so I know what I'm talking about in terms of the challenges. And also, I'm an NHS clinical entrepreneur who works with NHS England to navigate and address these problems. What have we achieved so far? In terms of traction, we are at an exciting phase where we have our MVP now available following regulatory approval to be able to pilot it. So there are certain families through charities who have already started piloting the app itself to address their problem. And we have managed to bag some grants, which is still very early days, and we feel we can apply for various AI grants and stuff this year. And also we have been acknowledged with awards from startup competitions and other business events. We have established partnerships with NHS Hospital as well as academic health science networks here in UK, and also research universities to work together to build these AI tools. Our highly conservative projections show that over the course of next 4 years, we would be able to generate a revenue of 7 million with break-even point between 18 and 24 months. Again, as you can see the numbers, it's just very conservative projection. But when we ramp up the operations, we should be able to achieve much more. What is our ask? We are asking for an investment of £260,000 at this stage, which is kind of a pre-seed stage, where we would be able to build the marketing and sales function and develop the platform further for scalability, along with the AI tools, which we have been hearing about from morning. We are SCIS and EIS eligible, which is the tax exemption here in the UK, and the focus is to grow from a MVP pilot stage to a scalable platform, entering into contracts with the B2B and B2C sector, and then an exciting high growth phase of our journey. Thank you for the opportunity.
Hi, I'm Dash Tabor, founder and CEO of Tuber, and I'm looking forward to sharing our innovative approach to time series machine learning with you today. The world is becoming more and more digital and data focused, driving companies to learn how to use data analytics and machine learning in order to compete in their markets. And as the demand for more and more data grows, the technology being advanced for machine learning has limitations. It requires lots and lots of data, making it hard for companies with sparse data supplies to meet simple business needs, like optimizing the usage of their assets, understanding supply and demand to limit waste, and meeting customer needs to drive loyalty. Tuber is building time-based predictions with 20% of the data normally required to use machine learning. So let me tell you how the limitations around data impact businesses. Time series data arrives in a flow over time, but the initial flow of data is always sparse and sporadic. This makes making real-time predictions nearly impossible in many use cases. Additionally, in order to train a machine learning algorithm, you need historic data. And in the cases of smart cities and other smart devices, it can take 2 to 4 years to collect enough historical data to train a model. This leads to statistics like 99.5% of data collected is ever analyzed, and 90% of semi-structured data is too small for predictive technology. Data is only as valuable as the application of which it's applied. But this all changes with Tuber technology. Our machine learning turns the sparse and sporadic data into a multi-dimensional reconstruction of the complex system. We not only can predict with sparse data inputs, but we can also train the model with less historical data supply than traditional statistical machine learning models. Our proprietary machine learning technology is built with physics logic. The physics engine connects the system to the real-time data, drawing conclusions about movement in the system. We deconstruct the cells of the whole system to identify the spatial components, and then we model those spatial models to other nodes to understand the relationship between them. The interconnected nodes bring in data sources which allow additional impact factors of the system to be factored into the predictions. For example, if you're making a prediction on the occupancy for a train station, a number of events come into play, like weather, holidays, delays, and events. But don't just take my word for it. Let me show you the power of TuberML in a real life example. The red line shows you a rolling weekly average, a common method for predicting demand. We made predictions for a week and then overlaid the actual. As you can see, the predicted green line and the actual blue line are highly accurate, proving higher accuracy. We're at the start of a trend with our technology as we see a sparse data market emerging. The big data market has been growing at a compounded rate of 10% per year, but of that data, 13.5% is considered time series, semi-structured, sporadic, and sparse. With our current product, we can dominate about 30% of the SAM. As we continue to develop our product roadmap and create a no-code sparse data platform, our slice of this emerging market will continue to grow as we expect the market will grow too. And since the start of the year, we've onboarded our first customers. We've grown our pipeline to a value worth about $2 million, and all of these customers have a high lifetime value of multi-millions. And we've improved our technology to see 80 to 85% prediction accuracy on average. We're at the start of a trend with our technology as we see a sparse data market emerging. The big data market has been growing at a compounded rate of 10% per year, but of that data, 13.5% is considered time series, semi-structured, sporadic, and sparse data. Since the start of the year, we've onboarded our first 2 customers, grown our pipeline to a value of about $2 million, and improved our technology to see 80 to 85% accuracy on average. I'm Dash Tabor. I lead the team with 10 years experience in data product management. I also advised a fintech mobile app startup that was accepted into Techstars in 2017. Nikhil Kanta is the mastermind behind our technology with a master's in physics and a passion for time series analytics. And we're here for 2 purposes today. 1, we're raising. If you're interested in learning more about the deal, reach out to me today. But be quick because the round is closing soon. 2, we want to speak to companies that feel this technology can help them meet their business goals. So get in touch to see how we can work together to build the future of machine learning. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Whittle. I'm the founder of FITSI. Here at FITSI, we're on a mission to democratize data and make information accessible to all. But first, before we can do this, we must recognize a critical problem facing teams and leaders. In our day-to-day lives, we have become used to technology making things easier for us. But with all things, some parts of the process still remain out of reach. For businesses, convoluted data dashboards and technical jargon have made data insights slow and complicated. Decision-making is severely impacted, and as a result, costs are too. That's why we created FITSI, a technology enabler that helps you uncover powerful data insights by simply using your voice. Input is no longer a barrier. Anyone can use natural language to interact with FITSI, which will analyze your information and feed it back to you in a conversational way. We believe data should speak your language. Think of FITSI as a conversational virtual assistant that can retrieve insights lightning fast. It tears down the barriers between you and the information you need. Legacy dashboards are a huge sticking point for innovative, fast-moving teams. It's about time you had your insights immediately to hand. We make that happen. We think reporting data should be illuminating, not a chore. FITSI uses AI to deliver reports to you whenever you want them. We make it intuitive and conversational. Your existing data sources hold a wealth of information, so integrations make it easier to connect. If you need custom connectors, we are always happy to help. To put it simply, FITSI is conversational. No need for jargon. Just ask questions in plain language. Users can type or speak through virtual assistants like Alexa, and FITSI will talk back. Anyone can use it, from non-technical users to experienced developers. But above all, we put the power of data in your hands, so you spend more time making decisions. For smaller businesses and individuals, FITSI plugs straight into your existing data sources and services. Manage your schedule, keep track of your personal finances, or simplify and streamline your small business analytics. FITSI also meets the toughest of enterprise demands. Outdated legacy dashboards can benefit from a refresh, a voice user interface that layers on top of your dashboard for intuitive conversational insights. This is great for efficiency as it can speed up productivity, ultimately leading to cost-saving opportunities. Many services and product features make Fitzy easy to use. I'll take you through some of these now. In the conversation feed, users can type or speak to ask questions. Answers are delivered broken down in charts and graphs that are easy to digest. You can even export these findings and share them in multiple formats. In collections, you can store your most frequently asked questions across all your data sources, configure how often you want these insights refreshed, and create your own favorites. Simply create a collection and set the frequency. It will pull the data and deliver it to you. In the conversation builder, non-technical users can get technical. This is where you build your conversation flows. Build your own unique interactions step by step, all without a single line of code. Simply drag and drop your desired components in order, connect your step transitions, test and deploy instantly. If you're a more technical user or an analyst and you want to go even deeper, Analysis Builder is where you can build your comprehensive reporting responses. Again, this product feature is code-free. The real power comes from our integrations. Currently, we are hard at work building connectors and integrations so Fitzy can plug straight in. We have got a lot more in the pipeline too, and we're always happy to build bespoke data connectors and custom integrations where needed. We're also embedding Fitzy in messaging clients like Slack, Teams, and Messenger. Type a question and Fitzy will respond with the answer in your chosen application. Or you can harness the power of your voice to make business intelligence truly conversational. Using Alexa or Google Assistant, you can ask out loud any question you might have and it will respond straight away. You've got a lot of exciting things in store for the remainder of 2022. Starting with new data source integrations, we'll move on to perfecting our no-code builders before a worldwide launch in Q3. We're only just getting started. A stellar advisory board and a raft of talented developers have made all this happen so far. They are continuing to push the boundaries and revolutionize business intelligence for everyone. Currently, multinational enterprises are piloting Fitzy for their internal teams. And we are also exploring how we can bring Fitzy to their end users too. If you'd like to join them, we're more than happy to have that conversation. Thanks for listening.
Hello everyone, I'm Liza Alim from AZMed, a French startup that has been founded in 2018. Our aim is to improve healthcare system thanks to artificial intelligence, and today I'm going to show you how we do that. Over the last 10 years, we have noticed the explosion of the number of medical images in all the OECD countries, while the number of doctors able to analyze them has stagnated. Also, we know that on average, 92% of X-rays do not show any fractures. So it's time-consuming and repetitive for doctors to see all those images with no fracture. As a consequence, radiologists and also emergency physicians are working with a lot of stress and they can make errors in their diagnosis. To improve doctors' working conditions, as well as patient care, we developed Whittle, an artificial intelligence-based computer-aided diagnosis tool. So what can Whittle do? First, it automatically detects all types of bone fractures on standard X-rays for adults and pediatrics. Also, it sorts exam by priority order into the viewer. And finally, it can be smoothly integrated on all types of viewers. It is important to tell you that Whittle has been the first AI medical device CE marked in France in its category. We have done several clinical studies to prove the performances of Whittle. And the first clinical study I'm going to present you was conducted at the Kremlin-Bicêtre Hospital of the HPHP on more than 2,600 pediatric patients in the emergency room. The important figures to remember from this study are 96% sensibility per patient and 90% specificity per patient. But what does it mean? It means that on 100 images presenting a fracture, our solution will detect 96 of them. And on 100 images presenting no fracture, our solution will say that there's no fracture on 90 of them. So those figures show the precision of the software in clinical routine, as well as our willingness to focus on the sensibility in order to reduce the number of undetected fractures. And the second clinical study I'm going to present you now was conducted with a private radiology center near Paris. We collected 1,000 images analyzed by 7 senior radiologists who participated in the study. So 500 images were analyzed with RayVolve and 500 without it. And here you can see the result. With RayVolve, radiologists were faster by 36% in the analysis of the images, and the sensitivity was increased by 20.6%, which means less errors and a more secure diagnosis. So the key message for you to understand is that RayVolve enables doctors to be more efficient and to avoid missing fractures. In terms of ergonomics, the solution is 100% integrated into doctors' workflow, and it is connected directly to their PAC system. AI requires only 1 second to generate a prediction, so it's extremely fast. And what is really important to know is that nothing changes regarding doctors' habits. The prediction are automatically generated in their viewer in the same DICOM series without any additional click. So now let me show you how it looks like visually. Here is a viewer with the DICOM series on the left, and there is the native image that you can analyze on your own if you want. And now if you use RayVolve, you will still have the native image, and you will have a duplicate where you can see the prediction made by the algorithm. Thus, now I'm going to explain you what makes RayVolve so special. First of all, our algorithms are 100% custom-made to provide best-in-class performances. I want to stress this point here because our methodology is quite unique, and we work really closely with each of our partners to provide them with the best algorithms, trained and personalized for them. Also, the software is capable of analyzing more than 80% of the total volume of X-rays produced in imaging and emergency departments, thanks to the detection of bones fracture associated with the detection of pulmonary and cardiac pathologies. Because yes, what I didn't tell you yet is that in addition to an algorithm detecting bone fracture, we have a second CE marked algorithm specifically dedicated to chest pathologies. And the conclusion is that 90% of the partners that used the solution during the trial phase decided to keep it and to move on to a contract phase. Now, let me show you where we stand today and the progression that we had over the years at AZMed. So to remind you, AZMed was created in 2018, and since then the company has been progressively growing. Today, we are more than 25 people at AZMed, mostly AI researchers, software engineers, and radiologists, and we have 250 partners in 80 different countries. And also, we are working every day to grow our partnerships so that every doctor, no matter where they live, can be helped by our AI solution, allowing them to save time and also to secure their diagnosis. Thank you for listening to me.
Fantastic. It's been excellent to have all those talks happening over the last hour or so from all those fantastic speakers. And if you want to connect with any of those that have been on the panels, for example, Rufina Capital, Angels Den, OVH Cloud, FIDC, TB Tech, even MPAT Ventures, we've all got an expo booth. So please do go there. You'll see either a video or our decks, and you can select the SuperConnect Me button, at which point one of our team will facilitate a warm introduction to them to support you with your challenge. I will also be in the expo booth for MPAT Ventures around 1:30 p.m. if anybody wants to come on video and have a chat with me. I should also note that some of the sessions will appear in the replay area, so you can play them back if you missed anything. We also have the networking area, which will enable you to connect with other people that are in the session. You'll be randomly matched for 3-minute sessions. And the other parts to know about is that all these companies that have been pitching, we're happy to connect you with them. CityBeats have been in the European Tech for Good report, which you can download from the Expo area. You've also got FIDC, as I mentioned, has a booth. So if you want to connect with any of them, please just go to the Impact Expo booth and we'll be happy to help you connect, or go to email hello@impact-ventures.com or gemma@impact-ventures.com, and we'll be happy to facilitate an introduction for you. I should also note, because this is my last time on stage, on at least the main stage, is that we have another event for the SuperConnect series on FinTech, hosted with OVH Cloud Startup Program on the 4th of May, and one on the 22nd of June, following all verticals that you're welcome to join us on. Shortly, we're going to be heading over into the sessions area, where we're going to have 2 roundtables. The first is going to be securing pilots and contracts in larger organizations, which is chaired by Paul Whittle, Client Services Director at Bellew Media. And we will have panelists from Aon, Mitchell & Butlers PLC, TB Tech, and more. And we will also have the Building a Rockstar team, which is chaired by Harry Gooding from Hayes, featuring Workhuman, the Hut Group, Skill Size, Eugenie, Kiddie Science, and more. So if you'd like to now consider going to those different areas, and we will see you there shortly in the sessions area. I will be in the Startup Clinic at 12:30, so if anybody needs any support from our 5 experts, we're absolutely happy to have you. Just join the session, share your video, share your challenge, and our 5 experts in the area of cloud development and hosting, R&D, tax credit claims, accounting, investment marketing will be available to support you. But I'd like to thank everybody for joining us, all our speakers, pitchers, and following the roundtable discussions, we will have a startup funding showcase starting at 12:30 p.m. GMT, and a scale-up funding showcase where we'll have 10 AI startups and scale-ups pitching in separate sessions. So feel free to choose what session you want to go to. And we will have investors like Angel's Den, Superseed, Mercia, Rufena Capital, Pretora Ventures, and more joining us. So I'd like to thank everybody, and I will see you in the sessions area very shortly. Thank you.